Welcome, bienvenue to all you friends en français and weirdos out there. I'm Sean.
I'm Ashton.
And I'm Andrew.
We are the Night Scholars, exploring the mystifying world of cryptids, ghosts, ghouls, and all things supernatural. It's so good to be here. Je suis enchanté. Happy to see you. May we march today and taunt the infamous imp of Detroit, the Nain Rouge. So, how are you guys tonight? Seeing any weird little imps outside your house?
No, but you know how we did that episode on the Skinwalkers a while back and weren't really supposed to say their name that often, and then we just kept
Uh-huh.
doing it. Pretty sure that I'm the one suffering the repercussions of that because the other day I was convinced that I heard Will listening to his audiobook, and I went to go check on him, and he wasn't there. And he had left the house altogether. And I had been listening to his audiobook for a solid, like, 5 minutes.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah,
And
that's a little weird.
that is
And
weird.
I understand that my cat is a skinwalker, so maybe it's messing with me because it's hungry, but
Or maybe your cat just likes audiobooks.
That's possible.
that is
Oh.
possible.
But you didn't say its true name, so maybe it was just messing with you instead of tormenting you. So I don't know.
I mean, it's an
Indeed.
existing kind of torment.
There. All right. So, Andrew, were you able to find a description of this thing besides weird little red imp?
And what is this thing before we even give it a description?
This thing is a it's a weird little imp that I have traced back to pre-Civil War to not pre-Civil War. That'd be, well, yes, but pre-Revolutionary War or Detroit. It's said to haunt the city and appear right before times of disaster.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Sightings have been very interesting. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah. But for what this dude looks like. So the description I'm going to read for you real quick is from Marie Carolyn Watson Hamlin's book titled Legends of Lay Detroit.
Mhm.
And it describes the Neon Rouge as a dwarf that is very red in the face, with a bright, glistening eye, and a grinning mouth displaying sharp, pointed teeth. I'm assuming it means eyes, like glistening eyes. I think just the time it was written. Eye also works. I mean, but I believe it has two eyes.
Every description I could find of it said it had two eyes, so
Same. I've also seen that it is seen wearing red or black fur boot, and its face
uh,
is stone cold.
Hmm.
his face is Texan. Good to know.
Mm.
How's it
It
Texan
is
show?
also technically a luton, which is similar to a hobgoblin, but it is more
Mhm.
twisted and evil.
Nice, Sean.
Yeah.
Can I get a hell yeah? Uh, that is not a good Stone Cold
No,
impression, but
that was terrible. I can't do any better, but that was terrible.
oh, can I
All
get
right.
it? I can't do it. Yeah.
I
All right. Oh, this thing was surprisingly easy to track since it's only in one location. And it was first told it to the founder of Detroit, right, Antoine Cadillac, by a mysterious fortune teller. Always listen to the fortune tellers.
hmm
Apparently, she even had a black cat with her. Uh,
Was it a werecat?
uh, mm, it doesn't say, but entirely possible. Apparently she told him he was going to start a great city, a but that in years to come your colony will be the scene of strife and bloodshed. And the let's see, this is just a quote here. The Indians will be treacherous. The hated English will struggle for its possession. But under a new flag, it will reach a height of prosperity which you will never in your wildest dreams aims pictured. But for all this, as she warned him, to appease the Nain Rouge, is and not to offend it,
Hmm.
and that all this future lied in its hands. And sometime between the year 1701 and I believe 1763 is when he saw it. It's not an exact. I didn't get an exact year, but basically everything he had turned into ash, and had no. He didn't even have any property to give his children.
Hmm.
Well, that's what you get
After
for
he's
striking the imp with your cane.
exactly, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you get sent to Louisiana if you do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
It will destroy your entire city. And I want to talk about this man. So, Cadillac. Is this like the founder of Cadillac also?
that I wasn't able to determine.
I mean,
You know,
given the years he was alive, I'm sure it was before the brand, but it would make sense that, I mean, one of the later people in his lineage could have started it. I'm gonna look that up.
See, and I'm just very impressed by all of this because my real introduction to Michigan is through Welcome to Night Vale. And I just the name Cadillac and Mitchigan and the city of Detroit, like I thought all of this was made up.
I mean, you're talking about a place where mountains aren't even real.
I just
So who knows?
Michigan. Like this is
Michigan.
actually a real place that has this strange creature and it's not a made up land made up for football purposes.
Apparently not. I thought Cecil knew had discovered Michigan was a real place, not Mitchigan. Been a while since I
He
listened.
also calls it Michelin.
That makes
But
sense.
no,
Had
one of the football players is off to go play for either Michigan or Alabama.
That's fantastic.
And honestly, I kind of like that version of Michigan more.
Mm.
Not that I've ever been to Michigan, but
I haven't either. Andrew, you been to Michigan?
No, I've never been. I guess I have been that far north, but no, I've never been.
You know, the whole reason I did this episode because I lost a bet with my buddy Dusty, and he is probably going to be screaming every time we say the word Michigan. So let's keep that up.
It's
is that not how you pronounce Michigan?
it's Michigan.
Apparently not. Oh, see, no,
Is
you're doing
that
it
not what
wrong,
I'm
man.
saying?
Yeah, you're saying Michigan.
I hear a difference.
That's right. I
Did
told
you find
Ashton
any?
about a town here yesterday, or a couple days ago.
Hurricane?
Yeah, Hurricane, West Virginia.
Hurricane.
Hurricane.
That's the
I
only
mean,
hurricane we got here.
All right.
anyways,
So
Angela, what the fuck? Ashton. Don't know where I got Angela from.
I mean, Angela in
Ashton.
the office was a cat lady, so it kind of makes sense.
That's. Oh yeah, you got a point there. She was also psychopathic.
Michigan.
Michigan. So, Ashton, did you find anything else about Mr. Antoine and his apparent hatred for hobgoblins?
Not necessarily about him, although I guess there were two different stories about how he did run across the Non Rouge, which was either alone by the riverside or that the Non Rouge crossed him and his wife's path at some point.
That's
Either
what I
way, the
figured.
stories that I have are all just that he struck the imp with his cane, even though he was warned not to, and that is why, starting with attacks from the 1860s to 1890s, where there were various reports of horses mutilated, and seeing a childlike creature scampering through the ranch, up until 1967, there have been multiple occurrences of horrible things that have happened in the town, and the Non Rouge, also known as the Red Dwarf, Devil of Detroit, Demon of the Straits, Red Imp, the Detroit Devil, is seen before it as kind of like an harbinger of things to come, of
Mhm.
bad things to come.
Now, uh, The last sighting I have of the thing is in 1976, right before one of the worst ice storms the city had ever seen hit it. Now, worse storms have hit it since, but no one has reported seeing the thing. The theory is that it's too popular right now, and it wants to hide out, or it'd be too busy with how the world is. It'd be just constantly popping all over Detroit.
I mean,
For that thing.
it could also be uh that where they have, parades and stuff dedicated to it now and a festival, which
Yeah.
Antoine, he was uh told that he needed to flatter it, right, to get on its good side, to
Hmm.
gain its favor, which maybe they've just done that now throughout all of the festivals.
The information that I have on the Marche du Nain Rouge is more about. I'm sorry, I've taken too many French classes. Everything that I say in French is just going to come out with a strong accent. Anyways, um, is that they taunt him during this. So you can actually come up with, if you go to the official website, which is marchedunainrouge.com, you can actually submit taunts that you want to hear that are directed towards the non rouge. And they also, a lot of people like dress up as him, and it's basically a way of like running him out of town. So, like, kind of the opposite of Krampus, will dress up as Krampus and like scare people. This is supposed to be scaring the non rouge and telling him to not come back.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe that just works. I don't know. Maybe he's scared.
I mean, that explains the last 10 years or so, but from what I can understand, the festival hasn't been around that long. So,
Yeah.
oh, that
I
would definitely.
I
Oh,
mean, if the entire city of Detroit was like, "Hey, leave," I mean, I would leave.
Yeah, I suppose it does do the exact opposite of uh Cadillac was warned against. So that is a little bit confusing because I thought it was like taunts for the makeshift non rouge to say, but no, it's like if you actually like listen to YouTube videos, like it's a lot of taunts directed at the non rouge itself.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how that worked for COVID. Like maybe like somebody spotted him in 2020 and we just don't have reports on it.
I mean, maybe.
entirely possible. I mean, probably my favorite sighting of it was back in 1763, where it was spotted near the Detroit River right before the Battle of Bloody Run.
Oh,
And then
yes.
after the battle, is reportedly seen dancing on the British dead.
An
Uh,
asshole.
Which
right?
Battle of Bloody Run was like I love history from that time period.
Hmm.
Yeah, there were 58 British soldiers killed um by Native Americans from Chief Pontiac's tribe. They were Ottawa. It's the tribe they belonged to.
Hmm.
I completely understand that this is going to come across terrible. I'm just now picturing a bunch of Pontiac cars and Cadillacs just coming together and being like Transformers and killing everybody.
I
I
mean,
mean, some
it's
of the
better
older
than.
Pontiacs were nice. Like the mo GTRs were pretty slick.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I can't say much about Pontiacs nowadays, but I don't think they don't make cars anymore, do they?
I don't know that I'm aware of. I think they went out in '09 along with half the industry.
Yeah. I mean, I would still drive one over Saturn Ion any day, but that's just me.
So Ash, to your point about the Transformers, is that really so much worse than the last couple movies they put out?
I've only watched Transformers 3, so
That
I
was a
don't
decent
know.
one.
Was it?
Um, it was. I mean, it had Shia LaBeouf in it, and
Yeah, I mean, it was
uh,
certainly a movie.
yeah, the ones without Shia LaBeouf in it are somehow worse. If you can believe that. I'm
Um,
certain I'm.
what I can't believe right now are my notes. Do either of you have something on the sighting in 1805 on this thing? Because I have that the Non Rouge was seen before a fire broke out that nearly burned down Detroit to the ground. And I don't think that it burned down the entire city, but I also don't think the city exists. So you guys might have a better answer than me.
No, I see that. June 11th was the fire, is what I have, which
And
is
it burned
about
down the whole city?
most of it.
Dang.
It just it was just chilling out, walking through the streets of Detroit. So,
Detroit, Michigan.
yeah. It also another fun one was in 1813, and General William Hull claimed he saw the red dwarf grinning at him, before he surrendered or the entire city to the British Army. He's also apparently the only officer in American history to be sentenced to death for military incompetence. I don't know what the non Rouge was forecasting, his incompetence or the surrender of the city to the British.
Wow.
Freaking freaking British people. Had to get a dig in at the Brits.
Uh,
For like the two Brits we have
Apparently.
listening.
Yeah, and then there was a writing in 1872 by Jane Dacey, and according to the Detroit Free Press, she went into a dark room on an errand and saw the fearful specter with blood red eyes, long teeth, and rattling hoofs, and fell down in a lump, fainting so far away that the camphor had no effect. She was ill in bed, yes, she was ill in bed from the effect of the fright. I don't know what
Uh,
incident followed that one, but she definitely saw it, and camphor, which is a chemical that used to be made by distilling the bark and wood of the camphor tree, could not wake her.
wow.
okay then. That's terrifying.
Indeed, there's so many like little sightings of this thing.
Now,
Yeah.
here's the question. So, Andrew, I just remembered something. Because I bothered to look at my notes. It's, so, yes, we have the festival that taunts it and tries to drive it out of the city. But what about the brewery that has a beer named after it?
Oh, Red
You
Dwarf
think
Brew
that'd be?
Brewery.
Yep.
I mean, technically that's flattery, right? Unless the beer's bad, but and I don't know.
There's also a
It's kind of paying homage to it, right? So I mean, I guess that's flattery, right?
there's
Like,
Yeah.
also apparently a flavor of red wine named after it. The
mm,
non Rouge Red.
nice,
It's a
nice.
French wine.
It's kind of like
French
here,
wine, of
we
course.
have Mothman root beer here, which you get from the Mothman Museum.
Okay.
Is it made with moths?
No, no. To be fair, I
I'm
mean the
not
Mothman
interested then.
himself isn't really a moth, so which we'll get into that during that episode. That's yeah,
Those episodes. That thing's probably going to take like 2 or 3 episodes.
yeah, because there's a whole lot around when he was spotted.
Well, that and the whole episode will just be Andrew saying, I love the Mothman. He's
I
the
do.
best cryptid.
He is.
It's just 30 minutes of Andrew saying that over and over again.
I mean,
Tune into
he's
episode
no.
2 when we might figure out why.
I mean, the Mothman's good, but he's no Sasquatch or Jersey Devil, which you can check out on episode 2 of the Night Scholars.
Yeah, we haven't done Bigfoot yet. We'll get to that. You know.
That'll be a fun episode. Oh, so I think having a French wine named after you would be like, all right, I'm going to leave the city alone and let it deal with its own problems. 'Cause I
Indeed.
don't need-
I mean, he
oh,
did cause quite a uproar if you want to believe that he was the one who was also the harbinger for the 1967 Detroit riots, which from
hmm,
history.com, the 1967 Detroit riots were among the most violent and destructive riots in U.S. history. By the time the bloodshed, burning, and looting ended after 5 days, 43 people were dead, 342 injured, nearly 1,400 buildings had been burned, and some 7,000 National Guard and U.S. Army troops had been called into service.
Oh
that,
wow. Yeah,
that's
that's
that's a
That's a lot.
Yeah. He was like, "Hey, maybe my beef with the car company is finally over after that."
That's entirely plausible.
I mean, Detroit did used to be, Motor City. But what Ford and GM used to make cars there, maybe even Chevy. I don't remember, but
I know Ford and GM. I don't know about Chevy.
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't wanna make cars in Michigan anymore after that either.
That's fair.
Like, there's just too many things happening in this city.
Imagine you're just there at work, working on a car, and this little red dude just comes in and starts like kicking stuff over, you know?
You know,
What an asshole.
that's exactly what's going to happen to Ash this week. Is she's going to walk outside, see the little red imp, be like, "What are you doing outside of Detroit?" Right, and it's because she named the Skinwalker, man.
Yeah.
And
It,
that
I
it
am the
decided
little red imp that runs around causing mayhem.
I mean, that's why Pontiac failed.
can confirm.
He was in there putting the lug nuts on the tire in a circular pattern instead of a star.
Oh, this has been a chaotic
Yeah.
episode.
Speaking of chaos, I want to go back to the Marche du Nain Rouge. Um, so on their website, they have a bunch of songs, which is what we were kind of like parodying. It was like a parody of a parody for Sean's intro, where they have like all of these different mainstream songs that everybody would recognize. I think the one that Sean did was Welcome to New York, except this was Willkommen Detroit, which is weirdly in French and English and has nothing to do with German. I don't know, but the song that I thought was the best was that they have a parody of the Time Warp from Rocky Horror Picture Show, and it's just like, "Let's march the Nain Rouge again," and I think that's fantastic. Like,
That
it was
is
just chaotic and awful, and I sent Sean a Snapchat of me listening to it and asking him, "What the fuck? Why are we covering this?"
because I lost a bet to a fellow Wheel of Time nerd.
uh,
I over a hockey player named Steven Stamkos.
okay.
That is a lot of information.
You watch
Uh,
hockey?
I do. Go Bolts. I'm in the Hockey Hall of Fame even.
Oh
Oh, my tweet is. My tweet is.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That was a fun
But
time.
yeah, I do like hockey. Um, Not as much as Let's March the Non Rouge again parody, but I do like it. They also have another song that's instead of singing in the rain, it's marching with the non.
Yeah. I like that.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like I'm marching with the non, marching with the non. Such a glorious feelings. It's springtime again. I'm taunting with the crowds, and I don't know, but I was just like,
I
that's
did.
great. Like, but see, like they're taunting him. Like, why are they taunting him? Like, do they just want their whole
Not.
city to be burned to the ground because it doesn't exist, and they're
I mean,
tired of
I did.
living a lie?
I did see a few people as anti taunters, like they were pro non on, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I saw a picture of it in one of the articles of someone holding a sign and it says like be kind to non or had like a I heart whatever, you know?
Nice. Yeah, but I mean, like, what
I
I
think
like
Ashton probably
is
hearts it too.
what I like is that I don't even think you necessarily have to live in Michigan to take part in this festival because I went to their website and all you have to do is say, "Hey, this is the name of my crew," and you're expected to just build a human-powered float, perform music, coordinate themed costumes, and represent your Detroit neighborhood. So if I was just like, "Hey, I am from this specific neighborhood in Detroit," I'll be like, "Cool, gather before 12 p.m."
It's Wa
Nice.
Michigan.
And I think that
Michigan.
we should do that at some point.
Go down there as the night scholars.
Yeah. It's like, hey, we're from Detroit, Michigan. I don't know how we're supposed to get there because again, it doesn't exist, but
I mean, yeah, can't you
I,
tell
I think
from
that
my
would be
accent?
fun.
I mean,
Yeah,
I believe in
I'm from
Detroit.
up the holler, Detroit, you know?
I mean, I believe in Detroit more than I believe in Canada. So
I
there's
worked with
that.
some Canadian guys when I was in the oil fields.
Did you though? Did you
Yeah, I
really?
did. They worked for Halliburton. That's when I still did
See, and have
frac
you ever
work.
met anybody from Michigan? Because I've not.
Actually, I have a friend that lives in Michigan.
No, you don't. They don't exist.
Michigan and Wyoming do not exist, and neither does Canada.
Whoa,
Canada really doesn't exist.
Don't go after Wyoming. Benjamin Todd and the Lost Dog Street Band have a very good song titled Wyoming. It's great. I know nothing else about the state except that Benjamin Todd has a song called Wyoming. They have bison
and
there,
on
so or
and on
yeah.
and on that note, I think we've covered about everything else we can here. Unless you got something more, Ash.
I do not. This was a not very much information found by me episode.
But what little information there has was a lot of fun. The thing is, I definitely think the night scholars should go to this non-existent city in this non-existent state and have at
Named
it with this
after a
parade
car.
named after a car. So what do you think? Do y'all believe in this thing?
I don't even believe in Michigan, so no.
That's the only appropriate answer. No, I don't believe in this thing. I think it's I think it's a mere coincidence, and I think they saw. I think they were hallucinating because they did a lot of weird things back in the 1700s, and found it convenient to blame it on a weird little hobgoblin.
Yeah, I mean he's just the folklore, harbinger of I guess of like bad omens and doom, all that stuff. He's a very interesting folklore character, but no, I don't believe this dude exists. Thank you again, our ghosts and goblins, for listening to the Night Scholars. You all be good to each other. Don't answer the scratching at your window.
Or do.
But most importantly, stay safe out there.
Good night.